Hi everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fiona, this is Dave. We work in the Springbank sales team here in Campbelltown, and we're here tonight to do not so much an online tasting this time, but a bit of an online discussion about the Countdown collection, for which we've just released today, our latest bottling on our website. I'm sure some of you are probably familiar with the Countdown collection. We've been posting about it on our social media, telling people about it, selling bottles for the past couple of years. But we thought this was a good opportunity to do a bit of a refresh on the Countdown collection. We've not done a kind of discussion like this on it since the launch in 2023. So yeah, just a bit of a catch up really, and a good excuse for me and Dave to enjoy a 30-year-old Springbank on a Monday night. So yeah, send in your questions. We've got Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We should be able to accept questions from all of them this time. We'll be talking about the collection in general, the ballot, prize draws, and anything else that you guys want to know about, I suppose. So probably a good place to start is just a bit of a summary of what the Countdown collection actually is. So I'll pass over to you, Dave.
Is that my bit?
That's yours.
Yeah, so the Countdown collection is a way for us to build up and start the celebrations for our 200-year anniversary in 2028. As many of you will know, we like to celebrate things in Campbelltown, so we're building up to a pretty big celebration in 2028, and we thought we would kick things off with a sort of 5-year release, 5 releases of very special whiskey in the build up to that. So the criteria that we had was old Springbank, so really between the ages of 25 and 30 years old, and so limited quantities. So each bottling is limited to 500 bottles per release. That's 500 bottles each year. The 30-year-old that we're going to try tonight and talk about is the halfway point in the series. We started with it was a 27 and a 26-year-old, followed now by the 30. And it's a great way for us to showcase old Springbank. For those of you that follow Springbank, you'll appreciate we don't have even our sort of core range or 10-year-old can be quite challenging to get a hold of. And the older stuff really from 18, 21, 25, 30 years old is really, really sort of limited. So this is a chance for us to share some Springbank that's old, quite unique, and showcases what we think is the best of Springbank in that sort of category. Our production from the 90s is pretty limited, and there's not many casks that have been left over from what sustained us to get to where we are now. So we have these sort of odd pockets of casks, maybe not enough to do a sort of big release of a 27-year-old or a 30-year-old outside of the normal sort of core range that we have now. So we had great fun sort of trying these casks, putting different things together to come up with these sort of small releases. And for those of you that have hopefully tried the Countdown collection, if not got a bottle, maybe been to the washback bar to try it, you'll appreciate that this is all the whiskies are of that sort of caliber, and showcasing the best of old school Springbank, that lovely sort of balance of the spirit and the old wood.
Yeah, you don't celebrate a 200th year anniversary often, so this is the time to do it, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a nice opportunity for us, as I say, to sort of talk about the whiskey, but also maybe the sort of the projects, the capital investment, I think is the term that the funds are going to be used for. So if any of you have been to Campbelltown recently, you may have sort of driven past sort of on Glebe Street, a big sort of building site that we have there. That's our new bottling hall. So traditionally, our bottling hall has been on the southernmost part of the site, and it's a converted sort of warehouse that's been converted into a bottling hall. And then our dispatch is away on the other side of the site. So we're kind of getting a bit more, I dare say, efficient with what we're planning here, where we're going to have bottling and dispatch in the same sort of building. So that's what's ongoing now. But it's a pretty big project, requiring a lot of capital. So the money that we're raising from the Countdown collection is going towards that. So this isn't, we're not selling this to line anybody's pockets. It's going back into the business, into the community, and I guess supporting the 110 employees I think we're at now. Mm-hmm. So it's money that's been generated going back into our business, and the community is benefiting from that.
I think that's what's quite nice about this series, is it's obviously commemorating a long history in 200 years and getting to this point, but it's also preparing us for the future and preparing Springbank and Janie Mitchell for hopefully going on another 200 years.
Exactly that. And I think if we can manage it, we've got a video of our bottling hall that's under construction. Now I'm right in thinking, if we talk, you guys can hear this. So this is a lovely drone video swooping in over the distillery. There you go. So this is on the right-hand side. You can see Glengyle Distillery, and on the left you can see the building works, a lot of the sort of wire mesh for the foundations, and that gives you a bit of insight into the scale of our new bottling hall.
And even in the time since this video has been taken, which I think is maybe only a few months ago, a lot's happened since then. Those of you who are local, or if you've been in Campbelltown recently, you've probably seen quite a lot of development on the site since that video as well.
Yeah, and I was warned about giving any sort of timelines as to completion for the bottling hall, but I think it's safe to say sometime next year the bottling hall will be completed, which will free up the existing bottling hall to be turned back into a dunnage warehouse, and our current sort of dispatch, as well as in a dunnage warehouse, converted dunnage warehouse, and the dry goods store. So it gives us sort of 3 warehouses back into circulation, as well as a better sort of bottling and dispatch facility. So win-win all round.
So we've got a comment here from someone who's sitting with some of the latest releases from Campbelltown Open, things like Local Barley, Long Row 100 Proof, but as said, this one's a bit out of reach financially. But pleased to say that the 200-year celebrations are not limited to the Countdown Collection series. We've got various different plans. For those of you who follow Kilkerran as well, as David saying, Campbelltown, we like to really mark these occasions. When we had our 20th anniversary last year, we had a huge celebration. So we want to mark Springbank's anniversary with some sort of celebration as well at the time. And there'll be other bottlings included as well, and kind of more, I guess, accessible bottlings. I believe a local barley.
Yeah, a local barley to be released in 2028. The distillation of which was overseen by our late chairman, Mr. Headley Wright, and happy to say that that's will be in a sort of greater volume than the Countdown collection, and the price point will be a bit more accessible as well. So that'll be something to look forward to for everybody, especially the local barley fans. That'll be sort of the jewel in the crown, I think, in the series. So yeah, bottlings. And of course, we don't need much of an excuse to get on the road. So we'll be out and about visiting everyone, holding events and doing various bits and pieces. And yeah, including hopefully a big party in the year itself in Campbelltown.
We've also got a question from the same person there about whether a sample is included. So yeah, there is a little 1.5 cl sample that's included with every bottle. So we appreciate, given the value of this bottle, that not many people are going to be cracking it open on a Friday night. But you will get the chance to try it with your little miniature that comes with the bottle. We did some tasting notes of this in the office. We're kind of lucky enough to try it and try it again tonight. I think we almost limited our tasting notes to just one word, which was "fwa."
Yeah, for those of you who have tried what you describe as old school, old Springbank, this is very much a caricature of that. It really sort of ticks all those boxes of that sort of soft, delicate, nuanced Springbank, and a lovely sort of combination of the spirit and the cask. In this particular edition, there's a fresh bourbon cask, refill bourbon cask, and a refill sherry cask. And a lot of the casks in the series were refill casks, which I think suits the profile of this older whiskey quite well. It's not nothing sort of too sort of cask dominant. It's quite sort of complementary, a sort of lighter cask with the spirit, which has become more delicate over time. And what's in my glass right now sort of certainly reflects that. You have these sort of wonderful kind of old sort of tropical notes, stone fruit, and the palate's actually quite creamy for me in texture. And then there's that sort of lovely sort of smokiness in the finish, sort of combined with the sort of typical sort of Dunnage warehouses.
Yeah, it's lovely. Not a bad Monday night dram at all. So we've got, as you can see, we've got one of our countdown bottles here. Someone had asked about things like the colours of each releases. So those of you who have followed the series, we started off with our 27-year-old in copper. We did our 26-year-old in green. Our 30-year-old is in gold. And then with each kind of release on your certificate, you'll see a kind of preview, I guess, of the next release. So with each bottle, you get your bottle, your miniature, and then there's also the certificate, which will be handwritten and has some information on the Countdown collection and on each of the releases. And as some of you maybe know, we also do a prize draw as part of each release. So at the bottom of one of these certificates, there's a kind of tear-off slip that you can send back to us. Or if you're storing your bottle here in Campbelltown, we'll enter your prize slip into the draw automatically. Something to kind of clear up, because there was a couple of questions about it, was whether that prize slip got you entered into the next ballot for the whiskey. That's not the case. The prize draws are for tour experiences at the distillery. So by entering a prize draw, you're eligible for things like, this year it was a place on the Whiskey School, a place on our Eat, Sleep, Dram, Repeat tour, or on our Barley to Bottle tour, kind of premium tour experiences. If you want to get a bottle in the Countdown collection ballot, you have to make sure that you enter the ballot. And I don't think we've actually mentioned dates yet, but it went live today at midday, and it's open until Wednesday at midday. You should have a little banner on your screen showing that just now.
Yeah, I think the prizes are an added bonus, especially if they bring you to Campbelltown. We love every opportunity that we have to promote Campbelltown and people to come and visit the distillery. So for you guys to potentially come and join our Whiskey School, I think the Whiskey School sort of mailing list had opened up again. But I was speaking to our tourism and events team, who said they might need to close the waiting list again because the demand is so high. So if you're lucky enough to win with your slip here, you get to sort of queue jump and join the Whiskey School. We're also proposing for next year to do a prize where you get to join us at the Springbank dinner at the Malts Festival. 2 places up for grabs there. So that's also a pretty good prize, bonus prize. If anybody has any other prizes or opportunities they would love to have a chance.
We're
of
leaving ourselves open here.
Please suggest them, and that's all we'll do is look at the suggestions.
We'll have people looking to buy casks and all sorts. Someone there's just asked if we can share the link for the ballot. So the best place to get all of that information is on our website or on our social media. So we posted today on Facebook, on Instagram, the link to that ballot. And if you go onto our website, there's quite a clear section on the homepage for countdown collection, which will take you to the ballot as well. Kind of on the topic of ballots, those of you who have been doing the countdown collection ballot for the past few years, or if you're used to entering our society ballots, you probably notice that we make little changes every time. Full disclosure, doesn't always go smoothly on our side, and sometimes that might be apparent and sometimes it might not be. Hopefully it's usually not apparent. But we're always just looking for kind of slight changes to try and make the ballot process go as smoothly as possible. But just by the nature of ballots, there's quite a few kind of avenues for problems. But the best way that I guess you guys can help us to make it go smoothly and even help your own experience is just things like checking address details before entering, making sure that everything looks as it should. Only entering if you're kind of committing to actually purchasing a bottle.
So it sounds a daft thing to say, but
yeah.
the amount of people who have entered previous ballots with, I don't know, either no intention of actually going through with the sale or just disengaging from the process is quite disruptive to everybody else who's entering the ballot in good faith. So yeah, please, as Fiona says, if you're entering, please be prepared that you might actually win a bottle or win the opportunity to purchase a bottle, I should say. Yeah.
And other kind of simple things, but just the kind of value of the bottle, potentially informing your bank if you're likely to have issues if a purchase of this value is kind of flagged up by your bank. But just little things like that, and kind of making sure that you're prepared to enter. And there's no great rush either because it's open until Wednesday. So if you do have any problems or concerns or questions, best to get in touch with us and get it sorted before sending in a kind of entry and having to make changes. And then we'll hopefully make it as smooth as possible from our side too.
Now, I think I've said before, if you have the opportunity to come and visit us, this bottle is open in the washback bar right now, so you can try. And then if you like, even enter the ballot tomorrow or Wednesday morning. But yeah, we're very confident in the whiskey and want to share it. So hence the little miniature that we spoke about. And yeah, hopefully there'll be tastings in the future where we can do a lineup of all the bottles together. It'll be a pretty special tasting to do for certainly the 200-year anniversary.
Yeah.
And maybe that'll be a future prize. And this, who knows?
We had another question I was going to go back to there. Wondering if the 47.3% is cask strength.
Yeah, we've not taken these down to bottle strength or anything like that. It's cask strength, and just obviously the age of the whiskey has meant that there's been sort of evaporation, angel shares, and the ABV has reduced because of that. I think tastes pretty well at that sort of strength. Again, sort of leans into that sort of delicate style of whiskey that we have. Yeah, so all the whiskies are cask strength in the Countdown collection.
We've not had any kind of ludicrous suggestions for prizes yet, so we're maybe in the clear.
Good. It's maybe worth highlighting as well, if you are watching from the US. Traditionally, we've not been able to ship to the US, but we have been able to do for the last 6 months or so. So if you're in the US and want to get a bottle, you can enter. We can't ship to all states, unfortunately, but I think more than half.
Mm-hmm.
Even Alaska, is
Yeah,
that right? Yeah, Alaska's on there. So
that's possibly the only one I could have named because it sticks in my mind.
yeah, so don't let that put you off if you're in the US watching. Come and join the fun.
Mm-hmm. And also you can collect your bottle from the distillery. So if you're in a country that we can't ship to, there's the option to store it here with us. And that's up until the end of 2028, the end of the kind of anniversary celebrations. You can ask someone else to pick it up for you. So we're trying to make it kind of as accessible as we possibly can.
Mm-hmm. And correct me if I'm wrong, free shipping as well.
Yeah.
So if we can ship to your country, it's free shipping, although you'll still be liable for sort of local duties and taxes as well. So yeah, as Fiona says, trying to make it as accessible as possible for you guys.
And open to everyone. We've had a few questions about that, if it's an exclusive society release. Quite often when we do ballots, they're exclusive to our Springbank society. But yeah, pleased to say that this is available to anyone who wants to enter the ballot. Someone's also asked if the dates of the 2028 celebration are known. I think you've overestimated our organisation.
I think it's safe to say it's from the 1st of January to the 31st of December in 2020. Yeah.
So we just keep those dates free.
We'll try and do something, maybe not every night, maybe not every week, but certainly most months, hopefully, and sort of ramp it up. Yeah, we're already thinking about it, obviously, and yeah, we want to make it a big one.
I think, as I kind of mentioned earlier with Kilkerran, we set the bar pretty high, I would say. So it's going to have to be a year of celebrations to try and match that, I think.
We might have to divert some of the countdown collection sort of funds from Bottling Hall investments and Kilkerran malt rooms and malt floors and things like that to pay for these celebrations, but it'll be worth every penny, I'm sure. This must be quite difficult for poor Nathan and David on the other side of the camera to be so close to this dram and not joining in.
I think maybe managed to keep a little bit. I think we kind of both said when we were coming to this tasting we were driving, so we'd need to be careful. But it's quite difficult not to enjoy this dram. It's not often you're going to get a 30-year-old Springbank.
Even from pouring the dram initially to trying it now, sort of 15 minutes on, it's sort of changed and developed, and it's all those sort of, I don't know, you could probably sit here for half an hour and come up with over 30 different tasting notes to it.
That we just went with our one word.
What?
We're getting a few questions kind of not related to countdown, but I guess we can still go over them. One of them is about society ballots and how many society ballots there'll be this year. I guess kind of standard, which is
two bottlings a year for the society. Not always sold by ballot. But I don't want to sort of go down a rabbit hole talking about society. But there'll be two releases a year. The next one should be April, is what we're aiming for. Good. If anybody has managed to try any of the previous countdown collections, please let us know what you thought as well.
That'd be interesting to hear. We have a comment here as well. The demand for whiskey going down a bit at the moment. Is that also the case for Springbank? They've said, I guess not, with a smiley face. We're obviously in a position that we, in recent years, have not had enough supply to meet the demand, and are kind of still in that situation to some extent. With something like the Countdown collection, which is so limited to 500 bottles, there's still not going to be enough whiskey to meet the demand. The Ballot currently has obviously been live for about half a day, and there's kind of plenty of interest and entries coming in for something that is that limited.
Yeah, and I think in general terms on that, we're relatively insulated from the the downturn to some extent, and it just maybe means that our whiskies are a bit more visible than they were sort of 5 years ago. You might be able to go into a shop and you see Springbank 10, 15, and the whole lineup maybe on a shelf, or we've kind of gone back to when we do tastings, perhaps at a retailer somewhere, that the retailer actually has some stock to sell after the tasting, which is quite nice as well. And yeah, Springbank has always been about being the whiskey drinkers' whiskey. So we've tried our best to work with what limited stock we've had over the last few years. Maybe that'll get a bit easier as demand generally subsides. And I don't know if it's maybe a bit too early to talk about our sort of plans for later on in the year, but we are planning to introduce a new whiskey into the core range at Springbank, a 5-year-old 100 proof Springbank, which will be available in reasonably good quantities, and much to our delight anyway, and most of the sales team and production teams, it will be 100% bourbon matured, so quite different from anything else we have in the core range for Springbank. So again, it's putting more whiskey out there into the shelf, so if you're a Springbank lover, you'll have a better opportunity of acquiring bottles and being able to drink it without getting into any fights and with bots or whoever. So that's all good.
And we've got a comment here about visiting. So someone said they usually tend to book in months that are less common, like February or November. Would they be missing out on anything at Springbank specifically in 2028? I think generally you can visit us any time of year. Our distillery tours are open all throughout the year, even if the distillery is not in production. So I'm sure many of you will know that Springbank's in production from January to September, and then at Kilkerran it's October to December. But even when we're not producing, you can still come and visit the distillery and visit the bar and the shop. We get a lot of people coming in May for the festival and in the summer, but it's still nice to come out with that time when it's a little bit quieter and maybe a little bit less chaotic. And in terms of 2028 specifically, don't know yet. We'll keep everyone posted on what our plans are for that, I suppose. And a question here: how do you feel about previous Countdown Collection bottlings showing up on the secondary market?
I guess, Springbank in general ending up in the secondary market is something we've all got accustomed to. I guess we've sort of combated that to a certain extent with the Countdown Collection by putting it out there at a good price, so people can't. It's not as flippable. Mm-hmm. It's more aimed at the collectors, taking a sort of slightly longer term view on things, and so I don't think there's as many Countdown bottles available in this sort of secondary market. If you were to take that ratio and apply it to things like local barley or even cage bottles and things like that. So it's just a fact of life that these bottles will sometimes end up in the secondary market, but we give everybody certificates with their own names on them, so I guess there's some sort of traceability. But I think most of these bottles now are starting to end up in the hands of serious sort of Springbank collectors, thankfully.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say I've almost been pleased with the results of Countdown versus secondary market and auction sites. You don't see them all that often, in my experience, and when you do, they're not at a really marked up value. It's more when it's core range stuff that you see for double the price or whatever. That can be quite frustrating, but from my perspective, it's not been a huge issue with Countdown.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably most of the Countdown related questions. I think there's been a bit of interest in the 100 proof.
Oh, good. We're sowing some seeds there.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
If you join us in another few months, we'll maybe be doing 100 proof tasting.
Yeah, and as we sort of do what we do and go and do tastings across the globe, we will surely have some Springbank 100 proof with us to start showcasing that. It's a great whiskey. It's really sort of vibrant Springbank, and you can almost sort of compare it to the sort of difference between Kilkerran 12 and the 8-year-old sort of cask strength. It's sort of similar profile but more amplified for me. So it's going to be great to see how that goes. And we've included it in a few tastings locally here, all the way in, I think, New Zealand. Did we have it in a tasting there? So yeah, it's already sort of out there. So if you manage to come along to a Springbank tasting in the next 6 months, you may very well have the opportunity to try it.
And then also a question about whether there are plans for a Hazelburn or Long Row 200th anniversary edition.
Yeah, there'll certainly be some additions, but we don't maybe have the same depth of stocks to do as much with Hazelburn and Long Row. But yeah, we'll try and make sure everything's sort of represented as well as it can be, and as part of the celebration.
Okay. I think that's most of the questions, really. And I think we'd kind of said at the beginning that it's not a standard online tasting where we've got 6 whiskies and lots to talk about. It was more just to kind of catch up on the Countdown collection and answering any questions. But even if there's questions over the next couple of days, whether it's about the Ballot or the collection in general, you can let us know in our socials or in our emails, and we'll try to get back to you. But yeah, I think that's pretty much.
I think so, yeah. I think previously, before we went live, we thought, we'll maybe have 15 minutes of stuff to talk about, but we've sort of stretched out to half an hour. So thanks, guys, for watching. Thanks for the questions. Good luck in the ballot for those who are going to participate. That's all from us, I think.
Slange.
Slàinte.
Cheers.